Majority Leader Republican from Colonial Heights. My neck of the woods, Kirk Cox. Mr. Leader, good to have you.
John, always great to be with you.
Now, I think you're fired up, aren't you? Because not only do you have a supermajority now, you got 67 of the 100 seats. But I'm projecting right now you guys are going to get at least 68. Some people think you could get to 70. You're in good shape in some of these key races. Can you give our audience a quick overview of the hottest races and where you think you might have an opportunity for a pickup?
Yeah, John, I mean, we're currently at 67. A lot of people don't realize we actually have 14 districts that President Obama won. So, I mean, obviously, at this point, it's really incredible that you could think we could get to 68, 69, or possibly 70. But here's some of the big races. 3 or 4 are up in Northern Virginia, and you've given me a great opportunity on the show to just talk about our great candidates. But we have Danny Vargas, who is in the old Tom Russ seat. He's a great candidate. He is a Latino businessman who is a veteran who's just run an incredible campaign. One of the things I love to do is go knock doors with these folks. And I've knocked doors with almost everybody I'm going to mention, and they're really working hard. One of the things a lot of people I don't think realize is how much we outwork the Democrats on knocking doors and constituent service and just policy, et cetera. But that's one. Another one I think we have a real shot at is Craig Pariseau. Craig's running against Kathleen Murphy. He lost a special election by 300 and some odd votes. He's knocked on an incredible amount of doors. He's an Air Force veteran, started 2 businesses, and been very successful, so he's great. We have another gentleman named Chung Nguyen. A lot of your listeners remember David Ramadan, who was a very good delegate who retired, and so Chung is running in the Northern Virginia area. We've got another one that not a lot of people are talking about, Sang Yi. Sang is running in the Delegate Boulevard district. He's Korean and has a tremendous story. Look at him as a dark horse. And then down sort of in your Hampton Roads area, we have Laura Overy, who's running the Monty Mason seat, and Laura has done an outstanding job. I was down knocking doors with her about a month ago. Great story about just her life and what she'll do as delegate. So there are others, but those are sort of the highlights.
Now, are there any seats right now that are at really risk?
I don't think so, to be candid. We have, several incumbents who are always in tough seats, but, I think all of them are at least 8 points up. I don't see any of them losing. But once again, the reason for that is, and they're not in good seats. I mean, if you look at the demographics, et cetera, but they've done a great job just knocking doors, not only during the election year, but in the off year, constantly keeping in touch with their constituents. So, no, I would be very disappointed if we lost any of the current seats we hold.
Mr. Leader, what about Colonel Dudenheffer, Michael Fertrell's old seat, Fertrell beating Dudenheffer in 2013, I believe, right? 2013. How's that look?
I think it looks great. I mean, Colonel Dudenheffer has, I had the privilege of serving with him, and it was interesting. I went down to the Buckley School with him about 3 or 4 years ago, and the Buckley School was a school on conservative values and public speaking, and really got a chance to really know Mark even better. And I think he's come back with a renewed energy. He's actually, as you know, a retired Marine, but he was actually doing a lot of consulting. He's left that. He's doing nothing but campaigning. I see that as a clear win. I've sort of put that in my win column. He's got to close the deal, but of course, Michael Futrell decided to try to run for the Senate nomination for the Democrats, did not get it. And so he's not even running for re-election.
Right, so that's an open seat. Our take here is the Republicans have a pretty significant enthusiasm gap in the final days. Every poll that we see shows that. The Democrats have an advantage in money to a certain extent, especially outside money, and they have a huge ground game. I mean, the Democratic Party of Virginia, through Terry McAuliffe's PAC, which I think it's called Common Sense or something. Can't think of the name offhand. But they've got 90 people in the field in Virginia. So they've got a huge ground game. But the thing, what is I think in your favor is the level of enthusiasm amongst Republicans, which I think is going to spike turnout, is there. We're not seeing that on the other side. So they're dependent on all these people that they've hired to get their constituents out, or their core base out. But that's a tough thing to do, no matter how much money you have and how many people you have, when the enthusiasm's not there. Why is the enthusiasm gap breaking to Republicans in Virginia in the final weeks? Why? What happened?
I think several reasons. Number one, people were very displeased with President Obama. And the combination of that, his policies, his overreach on executive authority. You mentioned Obamacare in your section before, and so obviously Obama fatigue, especially in this, whenever you get in the seventh year of a president, second-term president, especially this president, I think people are just fed up with that, number one. Number two, I would say that the one constant, I would argue, of the last few years in Virginia has been the Republican control of the House of Delegates. So what we've done on policy, as far as balancing the budget, as far as fixing the Virginia retirement system, keeping money in the rainy day fund, being conservative, doing smart things in K-12 and higher ed. And a lot of our candidates, I think, have done a very good job working with that. And I know the Democrats have this supposed voting ground game, but if you look, their candidates don't knock on doors enough. Their candidates don't. I mean, this myth that they engage various communities, they don't. And if you look at the diversity of our candidates, and, the word diversity is overused, but the point that I want to make is with Chung Nguyen, Danny Vargas, these are success stories that are incredible, of working your way up, coming from tough circumstances, and they're telling that story all over. So I think the combination of all that is going to deliver some close victories, because obviously you got 3 or 4 races that are very, very tight.
Well, and nobody thought you had a chance of holding the David Ramadan seat. I mean, I was always of the belief in that district in Loudoun County that David was the only Republican that could ever win. But you guys got a great candidate there. You have a shot. I think that if there's a seat that the Democrats could win, that could be it. They have a strong candidate there running for the second time, Bell. But even in that race, where I thought that would be a walk for them, I think you might hang on.
Yeah, Chung Nguyen is the candidate, and it's an incredible story of when Saigon fell in 1975. His family came over. His wife's family was put in re-education camps. He's been a prosecutor. He's been Harvard Law. He's worked his way up. He's been a teacher, and I've knocked doors on him. He's got really an interesting story, almost like David did. And so you're right. I mean, David was a unique candidate who really probably exuded the American dream about as well as anyone. Well, what you've got is a guy that says the same thing in Chung Nguyen. So we were just incredibly fortunate to get a guy like that to run. So I think you're right. I mean, that's one is a dead heat. And so that's where the turnout factor is key. So you can bet the next week we're going to try to bring that one home.
If you win Ramadan's seat, Mr. Leader, and by the way, we're with House of Delegates supermajority leader Kirk Cox, and he is a Republican from Colonial Heights. If you win that seat, you're going to get to 70 in my judgment, because I always had that one going the other way. But now we understand. Everybody that we've talked to in there said it's a toss-up. Nobody has any idea what's going to happen. So everything breaking your way late. Look, I got 1 more minute. Make a final prediction. Where do you end up?
Well, I'm going to be conservative. I mean, I'd be disappointed if we weren't at 68. I think you've made a good case why we could get to 69 or 70, but I'll make a call at 68.
All right, I'm going 69. You guys are working hard, and you said something, Mr. Leader, that I really want to emphasize, and I can say I've talked to a lot of these people on the air, and I think the candidates in these key races on the Republican side are beating the Democrats in personally going door to door, which is taking a page out of the Kirk Cox playbook. I just want to share with my audience. I only got 15 seconds. I got to take off. But the leader Cox has an app on his iPhone that tells him what doors to knock on every weekend in his district. And he knocks on doors every single weekend, 52 weeks, to hear what his constituents are saying. They're taking a page out of his book. I got to take off. We want to thank Majority Leader Kirk Cox for being with us.